It was a Tuesday, June 14th, 2025. The sun rose, birds chirped, and millions of coffee makers gurgled to life. In London, Arthur tried to load the news on his phone while crammed on the tube. In Tokyo, Hana was about to submit her final university paper online. In Chicago, Ben logged into his first video call of the day, still in pajama bottoms. Everything was completely, totally, boringly normal. And that's exactly what made the next moment so terrifyingly weird. Arthur's news app froze. Hannah's submission page spun endlessly. Ben's video call glitched, then went black. It wasn't just them. All over the world, the digital world held its breath and then just stopped. Phones became pocket-sized bricks, laptops turned into expensive typewriters, the constant hum of data that invisibly wraps our planet, gone. The internet was gone. At first, nobody panicked. We've all blamed the Wi-Fi, toggled airplane mode, or wiggled the router. People everywhere did just that, muttering about their service provider or blaming the building. But as minutes stretched into an hour, a creeping dread settled in. It wasn't just your Wi-Fi. It was your neighbors, the entire cities, everything, everywhere, all at once. The silence was the strangest part, not audible but digital. No pings from emails, no dings from social media, no endless stream of videos or articles. The world for the first time in decades was quiet online. People started looking up from their screens, first in confusion then in dawning horror. They looked at each other, their faces asking, "Is it just me?" It wasn't. The global network that connected 8 billion people had just vanished. Nobody had a clue why. The world was suddenly shockingly disconnected, and nobody was prepared for what came next. So, what could possibly take down the entire global internet? No aliens, no supervillains, just a mundane, catastrophic failure. It started in a Tier 4 data center, the supposed Fort Knox of data. A routine software update introduced a single line of buggy code to the core routing system. Instead of optimizing traffic, it created a logical loop, like a GPS stuck recalculating forever. Routers overloaded and crashed, backup systems, same faulty update, oops. This data center was a major global hub, connecting intercontinental fiber optic cables. When it failed, it sent out corrupted data, infecting other networks like digital zombies. Networks firewalled the corrupted traffic, triggering a domino effect. Major internet exchange points in Frankfurt, London, and New York began to fail. Within minutes, continents were disconnected. The engineers who could fix it, locked out. Their access required internet verification. They stood outside holding the keys but unable to get in. The system had locked itself in a box and thrown away the key. The digital silence hit, and the world reacted in chaotic, deeply human ways. In cities, traffic lights froze or went dark, turning intersections into horn-blaring chaos. People emerged from subways, GPS dead, staring at street signs as if seeing them for the first time. Teenagers, cut off from group chats, had to actually talk to their parents. In Seoul, friends wandered parks, shouting each other's names, unable to coordinate online. Baristas stared at useless point-of-sale systems, digging out old cash registers and fumbling with change. People couldn't check on loved ones. The inability to send a simple "you okay" text created a void filled with worry. Pharmacies couldn't access digital prescriptions. Credit cards and ATMs were useless. Those with cash were suddenly wealthy. Digital-only folks were broke. The fragility of our daily systems was exposed. Strangers started talking, sharing rumors and theories about the outage. With official news offline, gossip became the world's main information source. The world was a mess, but for a brief moment, we were all in it together. Completely and utterly clueless, and yet, strangely united. We think of the internet as a magical, decentralized cloud, but that's an illusion. The global internet has an anatomy: data centers, fiber optic cables, and a few vulnerable pressure points. Most of what you do online is hosted by just a handful of companies: Amazon, Microsoft, Google. A failure at one key facility can ripple across the world. The cloud is really a few massive buildings and undersea cables converging at specific points. A single ship dragging its anchor can sever cables and disrupt entire regions. In our story, the failed data center was a critical landing point, a main highway interchange for continents. Centralization is efficient and profitable, but creates terrifying single points of failure. We've built a civilization on a system with the resilience of a house of cards. The Great Disconnect showed us our digital world is a fragile, physical machine, and we've handed the keys to just a few mechanics. The Great Disconnect made our smart world suddenly, shockingly dumb. AI and algorithms vanished when the data centers went dark. Smart speakers became silent plastic cylinders. People shouted, "Hey Google," into the void. Self-driving cars pulled over, screens flashing, cannot connect to network. Recommendation engines and social media feeds froze in time. The invisible hand of the algorithm was gone. Most AI isn't truly intelligent, it's just a tool that needs constant data. Without the connection, our smart devices were exposed as hollow shells. The future was on hold, and it looked a lot less intelligent than we'd been promised. As shock faded, something remarkable happened. With the digital world off, the analog world switched on. Parks and public squares filled up, kids played outside, laughter replaced screen tapping, neighbors knocked on each other's doors, shared information, and organized potlucks. Without digital entertainment, people turned to each other. Guitars, board games, stories. Creativity flourished. People wrote, drew, and started a whiteboard newspaper in one apartment complex. The lack of global connection forced a return to local connection. It wasn't utopia, people were still worried, but for a moment, humanity got a break. We slowed down, looked up, and saw the people around us. The Great Disconnect became an unplanned experiment in mindfulness. It revealed that connection, community, and play don't require Wi-Fi, just a willingness to be human, together. And for a moment, that was enough. Restoring the internet wasn't like flipping a switch. It was delicate, painstaking work. Engineers finally gained access to the failed data center, isolating the buggy code line by line. They couldn't just reboot, they had to perform digital brain surgery. The first signs of life were small, government and military networks flickered on, allowing minimal communication. The first official message, global network failure, not an attack, engineers are working, stay calm. This sliver of hope calmed public fear. As the core was stabilized, engineers reconnected major internet exchange points one by one. The internet returned as a trickle, first North America, then Europe. Basic text messaging worked first. Millions of "you okay" messages finally went through. Full restoration took nearly 24 hours. Video streaming and gaming were last to return, as operators managed traffic carefully. When the internet finally roared back, it felt like waking from a strange dream. The world was connected again, but the memory of the silence lingered, and the lessons learned within it would not be easily forgotten. After the Great Disconnect, change was in the air. People talked to neighbors, spent less time on their phones, and companies made bold promises. There were calls for decentralizing the internet and building more resilient systems. Tech giants apologized and promised to invest in stronger infrastructure. For a moment it seemed like a turning point, but human memory is short and convenience is powerful. Old habits crept back in. Neighborhood gatherings faded. Promises were watered down. The internet's fundamental structure, centralized and fragile, remained. The Great Disconnect became a story people told at parties. We survived, but the urgency of the warning faded, and our dependence on this fragile system continued. The real question isn't if another Great Disconnect will happen, but when. Our network is a tangle of old and new tech, vulnerable to bugs, attacks, and human error. True decentralization is expensive and threatens powerful business models. But resilience isn't just about servers, it's about people. Do you have cash on hand? Know your neighbors? Remember important phone numbers? Living in a digital society means accepting risk, but we can be more mindful and prepared. The goal isn't to fear technology, but to ensure we're not lost without it. Here's the irony. I'm telling you about the day the internet vanished, and you're watching this online. This story was written on a computer, saved to the cloud, delivered by algorithms. We're using the tool to warn ourselves about the tool. The internet isn't good or bad, it's powerful, world-changing, and fragile. The goal isn't to get rid of it, but to understand it better. Appreciate what it allows us to do, like share this story. As you close this tab, look up from your screen. Maybe text a friend and make a plan to see them in person. The Great Disconnect is fictional, but its lessons are real. Having a healthy relationship with technology means knowing when to log on and when to log off.